when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared Dubois, live on a Wednesday night. Slight change of plans.
Happy hump day.
Adjusting the schedule. We are live to talk American soccer and maybe other things. Who knows what could possibly come up live on anything. Anything is possible. Jared, you and I have not talked about how I finally saw Top Gun Maverick, and it might be the greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life.
Okay, right?
Unbelievable.
Right?
Unbelievably good.
Now, how much
so
of it?
good.
Okay, I didn't even know we were going to talk about that till right now. It's like, you just surprised that we literally were on the phone.
Hold on,
for-
wait a second. We're getting the high
Nick's
side.
flagging down an airplane.
Nick wants us to do something here.
Do we
Hold
have
on,
to not
wait.
talk about it because he hasn't seen it?
He can't.
Yes,
he can't.
I would like to see it.
Okay, you've had a year, dude.
Wait a second. This is okay. I don't want to add to the man's spoiler pain, because to turn it back to the sport we all know and love, he got on with us this evening to get things started, to get the engines. He pulls on a cord. It's like a lawnmower. It goes. And he was like, we're like, hey, Nick, how's it going, buddy? He's like, I'm pissed. It's like, whoa, what happened?
sucks.
Everything, the world is terrible. And then he's like, I saw the Manchester United score, and I was trying to avoid it.
So, look, can we talk about general impressions at least, Nick? You're going to, come on, dude. Let us talk about this.
I plan on watching it.
When?
Soon.
How long have you had? What are you waiting for it to come out on?
Can we do
VHS?
earmuffs for like 5 minutes? Can we do earmuffs
right.
for 5 minutes? No. I was joking.
All right, Morgan, can you give him a message in the chat when it's safe, please?
Morgan, have you seen it? Have you seen it? She has seen it. Of
Morgan's
course she
seen it.
has. She's up to speed on this.
The millennial, is she identified as a millennial? She probably is, right?
I don't.
The millennial has seen the throwback
That's what she said.
80s movie, but Nick has not. And this is just, first of all, I don't believe Nick's going to watch it, because Nick is the most not movie watching person ever.
No, that's true. That's true. But I do think that Nick likes what he likes, and he likes it a lot. And I think
we're wasting this whole 5 minutes talking about Nick. We should be talking about the movie.
This is okay. Hurry up! Quick!
Right.
Tell me about the movie. I mean, again, this is not soccer.
I mean, first of all, it's okay.
Welcome
is
to the
it
best
a good
soccer
movie,
show.
or does it just hit all the
I
points?
don't even care. I don't even want to get
think
into
it is.
some
I think it's both.
philosophical debate. I think it is. I think it is a perfectly paced blockbuster in an era where that does not exist. No, look, there are movies that are over the top, like every one of the Too Fast, Too Furious movies is like a nutso action movie. Those exist, but this movie had action and then a little bit, the nostalgia wasn't.
And there's
even too
times
much.
where they leaned into
It
the
wasn't even
nostalgia,
too
but
much.
they went to the edge and then pulled it
Yes.
back just enough that I was like, okay, we
Absolutely.
can keep doing it. And for Morgan, shout out, she says it was great because Miles Teller is so hot. And I'm gonna give her this. I never found Miles Teller's attractive until this movie. I was like, okay. And the mustache might have been
You're a fan
much.
of the stash. You're a fan of the
The
stash.
mustache might have
That's
been much.
what it is.
That was a little bit too goosey to me. I don't know.
You think so you think that of all the things in this movie that they might have slightly missed on, the fact that they gave him Goose's stash is too much?
I just love that they brought back the girl that he literally almost got court-martialed for, the admiral's daughter, or the whatever they got. That's the girl they bring back for the love interest. That was a great move.
Yeah, I couldn't.
You didn't
I could not
connect
place
that?
I did not connect.
Yeah,
it.
she's the daughter of the commandant or admiral that they talk about in the first movie.
Okay, all right. So that makes sense. I mean, I didn't know if there was no. It didn't matter to me because Jennifer? Who is it? Quick. Jennifer Connelly. It doesn't matter to me. Jennifer Connelly's amazing. Like, I'm not going to be mad about Jennifer Connelly being in a movie. Or being in a movie that, it didn't matter. But yeah, that makes sense.
The other day, I just watched the last 30 minutes just to watch the whole,
I got to go back and watch it again. I got to go back and watch it again.
It's so good.
Here's the thing. And again, maybe time, maybe like new technology, all of that's, it's better than the original. It's a better movie than the original.
God dang it, Tom! Why does Tom Opp got to like puts reality in this? People barely survive ejections as it is. About a third suffer spinal fractures just from ejecting. Well, God dang it, that's how great Maverick is.
What? Okay, all right, fine. Yeah, no. Look again, over the top. The whole last section of the movie, extracting themselves, is over the top. There's no doubt about it. It actually has some Iron Eagle in it, Jared. If you remember one of my favorite movies from the 80s,
Yes.
that is also a fighter jet movie, it's got some Iron Eagle in it, which I appreciate. Again, it's
I just saw Nick
bonkers.
put his headphones off for 1 second, take them off real quick.
Okay, you know
All
what?
right,
Let's
Morgan,
finish
you
this
can
up.
send him a message. Send him a message.
Let's
It's
finish.
safe.
We're done. We're done here. We're moving back into things that actually we can talk about.
You're good, Nick.
We're back, Jared. Nick, come back. We're fine.
He's not looking. We'll just move
Okay, it's
on.
fine.
All right,
well,
so
we can
big weekend for you because not only did you knock out into Top Gun Maverick,
That wasn't this
MLS
weekend. I just remembered that I had seen it. But go ahead.
you didn't talk to me about it before now.
I put it in the Slack.
even friends?
If you were paying attention in the Bestie Slack in the
Sometimes the
channel
Slack
that's-
goes too fast for me.
all
it goes
of
too fast.
the Nikki Soup and Sausage hasn't seen this movie Slack channel that we have. It was
Which
in
is-
there. No, but Major League Soccer.
A long
Major League
list.
Soccer. And there, as has become now our new tradition, we are working MLS and American soccer related things into movie posters. Somehow we landed on Apple Dumpling Gang. Can we throw that up real
you
quick? Can we
you contributed nothing.
is that true? Did I really contribute nothing? I gave a high five.
I think
I gave-
all three of the images that were posted were mine for ideas.
Well, I was thinking about it. Nothing was better than
Oh
this.
wait, did Morgan put one in? Morgan may have put
Yeah, I
one
think
in,
Morgan
too.
might have. Don't hate on Morgan's contributions. Now, if you're watching the video, if you're seeing this on YouTube or wherever, and you go back later, there is Don Knotts, and you can't say a bad word about Don Knotts. That's an American comedy legend right there.
Yeah.
And then Taylor Twellman, whose face is on who is that?
Tim Conway.
Tim Conway from the Apple Dumpling Gang. Real quick, Jared.
Yes.
If I asked the chat, don't do it yet, people. If I asked the chat to raise their hand if they have seen the Apple Dumpling Gang, how many people do you think have seen it? Quick.
I think
quick.
3.
Three is at the most. Three is a
It's
max
a deep
here.
cut, but
Let's take
for
that out.
our
Let's get that out
generation, I think it's something that we know, But yeah, so let us know in the chat if you've ever seen the Apple Dumpling Gang. But
That's like from the era of Kurt Russell
Kurt
Disney
Russell
movies.
Disney, yeah,
It's like that, right?
and
He's not
Jodie
in that.
Foster Disney.
Jodie Foster Disney when she was little, when she's a little wee Jodie Foster. Yeah.
Okay,
Taylor
we got
Twellman-
one yes.
What? People are throwing up question marks. Never. What is that? Never even heard of it. Of course not. Again, two comedy legends in that poster, in that picture. But I understand. Taylor Twellman, his birthday was not yesterday. It was not today. But he
4
just
years
had his
ago?
birthday. Now he's a leap year baby.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago. He has to wait until next year to celebrate his birthday again. Happy
So
birthday
he's
to Taylor
10.
Twellman. He got very excited on the Apple 360 MLS 360 broadcast, which he was supposed to be in Los Angeles, Jared. He was supposed to be calling LA Galaxy LAFC, which was going to be at the Rose Bowl, and there were going to be 80,000 people there.
I'm not gonna lie,
happened?
I'm kind of selfishly
What happened?
happy it got canceled.
Why?
I mean, we had snowpocalypse in California, dude. That's what happened. Like, I
Yeah?
literally have not had
Yeah?
snow. Okay, I live a block from where I grew up, right? I haven't had snow at my house since the 80s, and it snowed again today at my house. I mean, it didn't stick, but the mountains, and I happen to be in the mountains this weekend.
Did you go outside and open your mouth and put your tongue out?
I did.
Like a
I
Peanuts
actually
character?
did. I actually did. I caught snowflakes on my tongue. I did all the things. I did all the
Oh my
things.
god! I would love. Can I bring Nick in here just
And
for
I
a
spun
second
in a
again?
circle while I did it.
Did you?
With my arms out wide, sounding
The
music
Sausage
style.
King of Chicago.
Nick lives in I get a little bit of snow every year. We haven't barely gotten anything this year. Nick lives in a part of the country where snow is a regular occurrence. Like, how much snow do you get? How many days of snow do you think there are in a given winter, Nick?
That's a good question because I'm in a spot. Growing up, I felt like I got a lot more snow than I did or that I do here in Toledo, which you would think would be the opposite because we're further north.
Right.
But because of where I'm at compared to like the lakes,
I see. But you have
we
dealt
get,
with
we get
snow,
snow
a
every
lot
year.
in your life.
Yes,
Okay.
I have a snowblower. Does that tell you anything?
Yes.
What's her name?
Yes. He has a snow blower. I don't even know how that joke works. What is that joke? What is snow in that
You made
joke?
Morgan laugh, so I'm happy.
Okay. You have a snowblower. I don't have a snowblower. There's not enough snow, nearly enough snow. I have a shovel that I moved to the front of my shed just in case there's a snowstorm in the next couple of weeks before we start getting into spring. So what kind of bits of wisdom can you give all of the Southern Californians, Nick, to deal with the incredible snowpocalypse?
Don't break into the slide.
Uh,
Lift with your knees. You'll throw your back out, shoveling snow.
They're not
I
shoveling
shoveled. I shoveled snow. I happened to. I made a cabin. I booked a cabin with two of the
that's
families
right.
2 months
You
ago.
go to the mountains to
just
get your
picked a
snow.
random. Just picked a random weekend just to go up to the mountains, and did not realize that we were going to pick the most intense storm in 40 years to do this in. So I mean, it was a lot. We had to get plowed. That didn't sound
You got
right.
plowed?
We had to. We had to. The driveway was like a dirt private road, and it wasn't part of the plowing for the city like the city does. We had to get a private plower. You know those. You know how those work.
Mr. Plow? Did you call Mr. Plow?
No, I was
That's
some
a-
random dude up there, and they had to
that's a
bribe the
that's a
guy
Simpson
because he was
joke, by
taking.
the
He was
way.
taking. Yeah, I know, it's Homer Simpson. They were taking. The dude had so many people trying to pay him. They had to bribe him extra to come and do the thing so we could get out. So, but that
Yeah, all right,
what I'm
well-
selfish about is that I don't think I was going to watch the LA the traffic
El
Trafico match
Trafico.
because I just had plans. I was hanging out with family. I didn't want to be I wanted to be in the moment up there, like hanging out.
Yeah.
But
Did you
so I'm
schedule this
stoked now. I
trip
get to watch it on July
before
4th.
the season schedule was announced, or is this bad luck? or
No,
bad timing?
I just scheduled it and I knew this was out. But this was always
He
a
doesn't
money
care
grab
about
on the
his
LA
team.
teams.
That's
It was
basically what it
always
is.
going to be a
He's
money
all-
grab.
He's also boycotting his
I
team.
don't buy
and
into
Chris
the hype.
Klein.
I don't see why they need
That's it.
roses on their
So he's a
uniforms for
nomad
this.
like you now.
I am not a
He's a
nomad. This is
nomad?
still my team.
Is that the
But
word for me?
My
I'm a
team
nomad?
is
I'll
making
take that.
My team is
take
making it
nomad.
incredibly hard to have faith and fandom in these days. Okay, now there's some
Yeah.
things that are happening down the stretch. I'm happy that they signed Ricky Puig to a DP deal.
Okay.
But
talk about
and
that move.
They're making all these moves right at the last end. But for MLS opening weekend, here's my experience. I know we're all
Can
going
I-
to talk
can I
about our.
just- because this is going to go by, and I don't want to let it go by. And this is also one of the things that happened this weekend when Fox had the one game that was on national television. Is Nick broadcasting from a Fox studio right now? Nick, are you in a Fox studio? I don't know. You didn't get your sponsor up, but are you in a Fox?
Man.
Jared, do you see the pictures?
Do you have to go to
see any of
commercial?
that? What?
Do we have to go to commercial?
No, there's
No,
it's,
but it's not much different than what you're seeing here.
No. They had John Strong and Stuart Holden in front of a backdrop that looked exactly like Nicky Soup and Sausage is sitting in front of right now.
That's
That
unfortunate
was
because a
their
lot of the other sets
studio.
I saw looked really good.
Well, but that's the thing. This was Fox, who no longer has exclusive.
Fox. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yes, Fox doesn't have the exclusive deal to broadcast the game. That game was also on Apple with their broadcast, with MLS's broadcaster. So when Fox took it and they were like, we're not putting any effort into this. This product is not ours. So they
So
threw
I'll
up
let you guys talk about your Apple TV experience, but let me just talk about mine first because mine will be short. So obviously, I didn't watch any games live. I wasn't using the app on Saturday when all the games are going on. I chose just to like hang out, family and friends and stuff that night, thinking, okay, I'll watch the wrap-up show. So my experience with the app this weekend was through the wrap-up show. And maybe this is on me, but I don't know if anyone else felt the same way. I assumed the wrap-up show was going to be like a match of the day. That's what I expected. And that's why I guess that I feel like the network needs is that match of the day. Because someone like myself who couldn't watch any of the games, and here's the thing, it kind of was that, but it's not that at the same time. If I could give feedback for the wrap-up show.
Well, okay, first of all, go remedial here. Okay, you're saying
Okay.
like match of the day. Tell people how match of the day handles it.
Match of the day shows the highlights from every match from the match day. Select highlights, and then usually there's one game they show a little bit more of than the others, like a mini game, and then all the highlights. And there's no real voiceovers; it's just the announcers from that game and stuff like that. And it's a great thing in that the Premier League does. This is 4 studio analysts doing the highlights, but here's my issue. They kept spoiling what was going to happen, talking about they're getting ahead of the footage, so they're talking about what's going to happen as if I've watched the game. And here, maybe this is on me. Maybe this show isn't what I wanted it to be, and so this is an unfair criticism, but this is still how I felt as someone using the device for the first time. is that they were constantly talking about this game and even other games at times during the highlights. I'm trying to watch the highlights to see what happened in the games, and they're already spoiling the result as they're talking about the highlights.
I just don't think that kind of thing exists in American sports. In American sports,
but they have the ability to do it. They own all the rights.
They do.
Why not?
You're
do
right.
it?
You're right. What I'm saying is, I don't
popular.
think I don't think it's ever been a thing. So maybe that's just not in the minds of the people putting that product out. But you're right. Maybe it should be that. Maybe it should be, hey, look, I couldn't watch any games today. Oh, I got time to watch the wrap-up show, or I can go back and watch on demand. I can watch the wrap-up show. Let me pull that up, and then
if you want to have 4 studio analysts talking about all the weekend's games, cool. Do that at the end. Do the highlights.
Cut back from the highlights. Don't have them talking over the highlights.
And then at the end, they didn't even do the highlights from a couple games. Now I did hear that maybe there was a glitch where they didn't put some of the footage out or something like that. But I think I read that. I'm not positive, but there were a couple games that weren't even in the wrap-up show.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that was just a mistake on the first day or what.
Well,
but
I'm thinking about
it's kind of like it's interesting. They're really trying to force the analyst part of like summing up the weekend, which it's a wrap-up show. Sum up the weekend. But for someone that just fair warning for someone if you're trying to watch the wrap-up show to see all the weekend and what happened, it may not be the best vessel for you. Go and watch the individual highlights of every game, I guess, one by one.
Well, but that's annoying, right? To have to kind of go.
Well,
do
that's
that
what we did. That's what
you
you did before on the MLS site, right? No different than that.
Yeah, sure. No, but
they did
this
put out a
one
review show.
But you have the ability to you own the footage. You have the rights. You can make this anything you want it to be.
Actually, the review show is what Jared was talking about, right? Isn't it? There wasn't MLS for a long time though on YouTube. There would be this review show with a British guy, and he would be like, and let's go to Nashville, where the Nashville is taking on NYCFC. And then they would just go to the announcers, and it would be highlights from that game without that British guy, and then he would come back and say, okay, down to Miami. Like, that's all
listen,
it was.
This, like I said, it could be completely unfair that I'm trying to force this to be something it wasn't. That was just my own expectation, something I bring to the table.
You're the consumer. You tell them what to do. You tell them they've got it wrong,
because
Jared.
from all feedback I've been seeing, the day of product was fantastic. The quality, the interface. I know there's a couple things with the scoring, showing, and stuff like that you can toggle on and off. I do know, like, what is it? I think it was the 360 show. I heard pretty positive things about. What was your guys' experience with it this weekend?
So, okay, I'll start with the 360 show because I did jump into that. Everybody's getting their feet wet. It's the first one. I'm not going to be too harsh with like sort of how they interacted.
Talking over each other a good amount.
Liam McHugh is a pro, right?
Yes.
And he knows how to set things up. There's no doubt about that. I like Bradley Wright Phillips individually. I like Sasha Kleshtin individually. I've never been sold on Kaylin Kyle. I'm not sure. Maybe she said some pertinent analysis things that I did think were good, but there's no energy. Like there's no oomph to the show. There's no
compare that to CBS's Champions League like panel, like with Micah and Thierry,
exactly. And maybe you don't need quite that level of insanity sometimes, but. Bradley Wright Phillips is a smart guy,
but
he's a reserved guy. Sasha Kleshtin is a pretty reserved guy. Kaylin Kyle was going a little bit bigger, but it's only one person, and I just think, and it's the only time that show picked up. First of all, they did that thing where somebody called it Mystery Science Theater 3000, where they had them all standing there looking up at the big screens with their backs to the cameras, and it's like, I don't know who has the best rear end, but let's take a look and figure it out. You know, like what are we doing here?
I'm betting Sasha.
Probably. Then they put them in chairs, right? And they're all sitting around in front of the big screens now. And then we get Taylor showing up. And Taylor changed the whole complexion of the show because he's a maniac.
Well, because the Taylor show, in some respect.
It became the Taylor show.
And I think there's elements that are needed of that type of personality. And I think that's what you're talking about when someone has to have that personality in the lineup. I feel like with the wrap-up show, 4 people may be too many.
You're going with 2 people who have, as far as I'm aware, has Bradley Wright Phillips done television? Somebody in the chat will know. I don't know if he's done New York Red Bull stuff.
I'm not sure, but I thought he looked natural. I thought he was good.
No, but there's a difference between being comfortable and natural. And I think Sasha Kleshtin, again, a smart guy, knows the game, can talk about the game.
Agreed.
But there's not that extra level of comfort to kind of like bust out of your shell and be. And again, they don't have to be NBA on TNT. They don't have to be the Champions League show on CBS. But that was like, okay.
But what do those things have in common?
The games are happening.
Think about the things that are successful. There's a formula to it. The Charles Barkley, the Shaq.
Well,
know,
no, but
hold on, let me finish. I want to get to a point here. The Taylor Twellmans, and the people are going to react to this, but the Alexi Lawless. And I know there's people that are very visceral in how they feel about Alexi Lawless, but the fact is he makes you feel something. That's what the show needs to have. It has to have someone that evokes something from you.
But I come back to, after talking all about that, and yes, exactly what you said, except this is a show happening during the games where it's a whip around show. It's not supposed to be sort of having fun. Like, they're not going to have a Gucci Onyewu and who's the other one on the Champions League covers? They did the arm wrestling match. Why am I blanking on his name? Micah Richards.
Oh, Mike Richards.
It's not going to be Gooch and Micah Richards having a arm wrestling contest.
Well, I'm kind of talking both about the wrap-up show as well. The wrap-up show, I think, is where you get more of that personality side.
Those are two different products. Yeah. So I do think the wrap-up show can be looser because it's already happened. We're not responding to what's happening in the moment. And I do get that Sasha and BWP in particular want to add value as analysts, former players, as analysts to that. I get it. I just think the presentation was kind of weird. And look, there's also this fundamental issue that you have with a whip-around show for soccer, and Golasso actually has this problem too, I think. Even though it's a decent show, you can't really capture the moment as it happens. You have to respond after the fact, right? With an NFL whip-around show, the Chiefs are inside the 10. Let's go to Kansas City.
It's just
where
not
they're
that
trying
sport.
to. You don't have that. You have to wait until the thing happens, and you go, okay, let's go to Nashville where they've just scored a goal, and you're like, well, okay, well now I already know they scored. You've already told me. It
does allow you
drama.
that there's setups for free kicks, there's setups for corner kicks. Like there is the time to transition to those things, and you just feature
sometimes
one game while all the other stuff is going on until there's something to show, which the Red Zone does as well.
It's a really hard directing job because the director has to say, okay, let's put that game and that game there. And because the crew can't watch 12 games happening at one time. You can't do it. It's impossible. You'll never be able to divine exactly what's going on in any one place. So your director has to pick a couple games for the crew to watch. But also other people are keeping an eye on other games so that when something happens somewhere, you can toss to that, and then your crew has to respond to that highlight in the moment as they're seeing it for the very first time. So I think
they've got the elements for the right show. Go ahead, Nick.
I almost feel like, and I don't know if you're familiar with this program over in England, but they have that panel where they're all wearing headsets and they're watching that specific game at the desk. And like,
I know what you're talking about.
I almost feel like they need to do that.
That'd be interesting.
With the ability to show the video.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. You know what he's talking about, Jared? Like the BBC. I don't know if it's the BBC.
I think it's Sky.
Okay, Sky. It's because
I'm American.
They don't
Jeff
have
Snelling is the host.
They don't have all the rights. So they can't show all the video. But what they'll have is an analyst, former player, with headphones on, watching it, sitting at a desk, cameras there, looking at a monitor, and then they'll like, oh, there was a goal in Brentford, and then they'll kind of like look up and start talking, and they'll describe what's happening with this goal at Brentford. You can, if you could do that with video.
See, we don't. Yeah, there's no need to do that with MLS because you own all the rights to everything.
What I'm saying is you could add that with the video.
What he's saying is assign somebody to keep an eye on that game rather than sort of all four people watching all the games or only being given what the director is picking.
They're always reacting
but then again,
live
you
instead
want
of being prepared somewhat. Yeah.
You want the crosstalk though, right? You want BWP to say something and Sasha and Kaylin to respond to it. You don't want it to be like only. So
for example, it'd be like, all right, let's start with Morgan Tenza, who's got to get an update on the Chicago Fire match, and then she's like,
basically, and she would say, "Oh, the Fire are a terrible soccer team, and they should be folded. Let's go back to you,
back to Philly."
One thing I will say is, when we saw that they were doing this type of show, this whip around show, I think we all, and maybe it was on us as well, again, that we took this to be like NFL Red Zone. And if you watch NFL Red Zone, you know from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m., you're watching commercial-free football.
It's the original.
Now, I was very surprised, and I understand why they went to commercials, but I also am wondering, why do you have commercials on this program? It's a paid serve, like.
But the Red Zone approach is a very different approach, right? Because the Red Zone approach is one guy who's guiding you from game to game as those things. Now, again, there's some drama build up in an NFL game that you don't get in a soccer match, but you could, is the better approach. And I'm not trying to to run BWP and Sasha and everybody else out of a job. But is the better approach to have Liam McHugh standing in front of monitors and in front of a camera and saying, okay, let's go to Nashville. And then you cut to those announcers. You're paying all this money.
Yep.
Those
Honestly,
announcers, and they call that game. And then and you come back and you go, okay, well, that was a great goal by Hani Mukhtar. Okay, let's go out to Los Angeles where they just kicked off. And then you get the first 3 minutes, whatever, of LA Galaxy against whoever, right?
I will tell you that as somebody who watches Red Zone pretty religiously, you never see the guy on camera. Almost never. The only time you ever see him on camera is if all the games are in a timeout.
I don't think it's necessary.
So you might not even need to put Liam on a camera to do what he.
But you're paying him a lot of money to be on
No, I understand that.
Right.
So I will also add.
Sasha bought some suits. Bought some suits, man.
And I thought Sasha and Bradley White Phillips are good pieces of what they need to do. That show may not be the best way to showcase them. Maybe they're better on the wrap-up show because I didn't think Nacho Rio Coker was that good on it. I think there's someone.
See, that's the thing. Like, should we get into like reviews of individual?
It's a personal.
people?
It's a personal. It's just a personal take on mine.
I will say, if this was Sasha's and Bradley's first time on TV doing any type of analyst work, I'm giving them a pass because we all know this is not easy.
Sasha did the online stuff at the World Cup for ESPN.
Yeah, he did.
Strictly
he did a little bit
online.
He did a little bit. He did some World Cup stuff.
Him and Jimmy and
Fox. Yeah.
Fine. Okay.
That's ESPN.
Still,
Oh, Fox. Sorry.
first show, let's give him a pass. It will get better, and I enjoyed all of it this weekend. Like, I was excited. I was telling my kids, like, look, we haven't had this for 28 years. We finally have.
And the visuals. I was thinking about this watching games, flipping back and forth. Like, to have this high standard of video quality across the board, and everything sounded good. And even, I mean, obviously it's opening weekend. The attendance numbers are all good because the league teams can sell against this game forever and ever and ever. But the atmospheres popped in places where they don't normally pop in ways that I was surprised by, right? Because I would have been watching FC Dallas in Minnesota on local Dallas television. And as much as I respect those guys, and Mark Fellowill and Steve Davis were their television guys, I love both those guys. It felt bigger, way bigger than it would have on a local RSN. And I think that is potentially big, although, again, it's the matter of getting people in the door to even see that, right? This weekend was free, but you had to have your Apple TV
I don't want to be the
account.
teardown. I don't want to be the teardown guys here. Like there's something cool happening here. There's something very cool happening here. And I think if it's going to happen, I think we just want it to happen at its highest level and get the best possible product that we could. It looks like Jason's freezing out right now, but Nick and I keep talking about it. But I think there's nothing wrong with giving them some constructive feedback because it is a personal experience for the MLS fan, the people that have been around for 20 years. Oh, there he is. He's back now.
Yeah, my apologies, guys. I don't know what's going on with my system here. We're going to fix that next time.
We were just talking about the fact like it's okay to both be excited for what this can mean, but also be realistic in the feedback in terms of, I think, and I honestly believe that Apple has the personnel in place that cares enough that is going to listen to the feedback. I think they will take some of this feedback. I think you've already heard about the fact that they have people that are trying to aggregate this feedback and figure out how they can do this better. Yeah. I think they'll be committed to that. And if we see a few changes down the road, I don't see any reason why this can't be the industry standard for sports in America and how it's presented.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot, if you watch the industry analysts talk or you listen to podcasts or read the articles, everybody says this is canary in the coal mine stuff for what's coming next. And that might be scary on some level because if every league has a platform like this through a streaming company, who's going to pay for all of that? Obviously what NFL Sunday Ticket's going to YouTube now. Yep. Is that right? So, I do think there's that like, oh my God, what are we going to here? But you're not putting the genie back in the bottle. Like this is over. This RSN model, sort of
literally, you open up the Apple TV app. It's a couple things at the top, and one of them is MLS.
Yeah,
on the banner at the top.
They're running ads before shows and stuff. I've been watching Slow Horses on Apple TV Plus, which is the Gary Oldman show. Okay, and they're running MLS stuff every time I click on that show. I'm getting an MLS ad. So it's not like they're not pushing it. They definitely are pushing it.
Is this like Golden Girls for
Slow Horses?
Yeah.
I don't know. Slow Horses
like the
is
Glue Factory or what? What is
it's a British spy show. They work for MI5, but they're like the rejects of MI5, so they don't work in the main fancy building with all the technology.
Nothing
They
but
have their
wild
own
cards.
old crusty building where Gary Oldman's an amazing actor, like fantastic, off the charts good, and he plays sort of like the boss of this reject house where they all work, and then crazy things happen, spy things happen.
For those of you guys watching, if you have your takes, maybe we're wrong on some of this Apple TV stuff from the opening weekend, give us a call, 717-727-BEST. Feel free to get in. How did you feel about the weekend? Like, what were your takeaways? Overall,
in terms
good?
of what
Overall,
happened?
Needs
Or
improvement?
The
Just
Apple
their
stuff?
feeling on it. Yeah, just their feeling on the first weekend. Both
Oh,
you can talk
those-
about games too if you'd like.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a game, if you want to talk about Apple TV, absolutely, it's all fair game at this point. Jared, okay, let's just sum it up for you and me. What kind of grade do you give MLS Season Pass after the first week?
As a person that experienced it not in its most prime form, I will say B plus. I think I from what I was able to see, I really liked it. I think there's a few opportunities. I think the default should have been not showing scores. If you're going into something, we just had Nicky spoiled on his Manchester United result on YouTube as one of those things. If you're going to be there as both the in the moment and after the fact resource for this media, present it in a way that's applicable to both.
Yeah, very very quirky thing. I'm going to give them a B, not a B plus,
D
but a very
plus from Sullivan. Jeez.
quirky thing about the way streaming platforms work and various mechanisms for accessing those streaming platforms. Like you had to update your iOS to be able to get the season pass in the first place, right? And then
I didn't have any issues.
Depending on what kind of device you're on, you may see things differently. We're talking about this in the best.
That's a week one thing. That's a week one thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like there may be something to that. It may be very fixable, but it's like I can't find the replays, but I had the replays no problem. What I couldn't find was the highlights. Like, where are the highlights? Those quirks, those elements are. It's certainly early days, and I guess you kind of have to give them a pass.
Yeah, you would like to see
it
a company of Apple's stature to have most of that stuff ready to go and tested and bulletproof by week one. But I think some of it has to be stress tested. There's an element to it that there's a lot of different devices, a lot of different browsers. It's a lot.
There were some audio sync issues. Audio dropped out during the DC game, I think, when DC was mounting their comeback and eventually winning that game. Do you have any results that you want to talk about, Jared? Anything stand out for you?
Yeah, I think there's a few that we should. I think the biggest shocker, I think, was the Austin loss to St. Louis. That's obviously it's always tough to go in for a new team who's really hyped up for that first game, and I believe that was at St. Louis, wasn't it?
No, the game was in Austin.
It was in Austin? Jesus. Oh, my God. That's rough. I mean, some of us, we did pick Austin pretty high, I think you and I, in our standings. I think Nick dropped them down a little bit.
It'll be okay.
But there was an element like, man, did they overachieve last year? And this is an overreaction to 1 week's. But you lost to the expansion side.
Let's contextualize this, because I think a lot of this comes down to Kip Keller and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Because he gets forced on when Cascante goes down with an injury in the first 10 minutes. He's a second-year player. They're not counting on him being a first-choice player at all this season. Cascante was going to be the guy, and they went out and get Vasanen to replace Gabrielson. And he, first of all, gets beat by Tim Parker for the opening goal by St. Louis. Then he passes the ball backwards to Jared Stroud for that second goal. Did you see that moment, Jared? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I mean, the explanation is that they were teammates last year. That that Stroud was in Austin with Keller last year, and Stroud just said, "Hey, pass me the ball," called for the ball, and Keller's brain blinked out, and he passed to the wrong guy. And then he gets beat by.
That's crazy.
He gets beat by João Klaus for the last goal too.
And it's it's 3D chess. If it is too,
some of that is Austin wasn't as good as they should have been. I mean, Driussi is good. That was a beautiful goal that he scored. But some of it is just bad luck and an injury. Now Austin's got to figure out what to do about Cascante, and it might be Alexander Ring, and it might be Nick Lima. They're talking about playing Nick Lima at center back. That's a problem for them going
short
forward.
Center back, man.
But I don't know that I can look at that and go, oh, St. Louis is so much better than we thought they were, or Austin so much worse than we thought. I think it's just week one craziness in MLS, right? And by the way,
I know you
killed like 3/4 of the MLS survival pool people that were involved in that. Picked Austin. I didn't pick Austin.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to talk about this, I won't say it was a surprise, but it was one of the standout moments of the weekend for me. I know you don't have the original "Oh Baby" drop, but whatever one you do have, Joaquin Torres. Holy crap!
Okay, so that's an "Oh Baby" without a goal. He sets one up.
That might be a hit him what.
I do. I think I did just put that on the board again.
Oh, here we go, saucing them up. Hit him. What?
That's more Joaquin Torres right
That's
there.
more,
The double spin on
Dipsy
Columbus.
do, like I don't know what you call what the heck he was doing there. How much of that do you think he had control of and was purposeful versus how much it was what the ball was doing with him?
Oh no, but that's a good dribbler, a good player, a player with that kind of skill responds to what the ball is doing in those moments.
Always tight to his feet, man.
Always.
That whole sequence tight to his feet.
It's like going back and, Marcus Rashford had this insane pass on the weekend, right? But you go back and look at it, he's probably trying to play a back heel, but it comes off his back foot and goes directly into the path of his teammates. Like, he didn't mean that, but give him credit for it anyway, right?
That has to be the highlight of my weekend. That movement right there, and for it to result in a goal, that's just the cherry on top.
Again, I think Sebastian Driussi deserves an "Oh Baby" for his goal.
Sure.
I think Henny Mukhtar deserves an "Oh Baby" for the goal he set up
Off
in
the
that
bench,
game
no less.
for Nashville off the bench. Obviously, look, Thiago Almada. I mean, double. They're just. I played it again. Double "Oh Babies" for Thiago Almada, saving Atlanta from a very humiliating opening day loss in front of 65,000 people, or 67 or whatever. What was that? That was my Survivor League. My Survivor Pool pick was Atlanta. I thought, Atlanta at home against San Jose. That's easy. Give that to me, baby. And then I needed Almada stepping up in added time just to survive. So this is the way MLS goes.
Let me give me a little pick your poison here, just results wise. I want to see how you feel. More surprising to you, Charlotte losing at home to New England, or the other one that I'm trying to think. I had one in mind, but I think I know what your answer is going to be, so I was trying to give you a different one.
Correct.
Let's go with Minnesota over Dallas.
I mean, those. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. Neither one of those games gets me excited. Neither one of those games.
I'm just asking which one you're more surprised by.
I mean, I guess Minnesota, because Reynoso is off barbecuing in Argentina and doesn't want to play soccer right now. I guess that's the one that surprises me more, because New England going to Charlotte. Charlotte had a decent year last year. Both those teams missed the playoffs. It's a coin flip for me, and the way it plays out kind of reflects that. Henry Kessler with an 89th minute goal.
Minnesota over Dallas,
or
DC over Toronto.
DC over Toronto is it shouldn't be overly shocking because of how bad Toronto was defensively last year, and DC was at home. But DC was the wooden spoon winner last year. I mean, they broke the Cincinnati streak. It was them. And
listen, you and I were both bullish on Toronto, and if Bernadeschi's hurt.
No, it's Insigne that might be hurt.
Insigne.
Yeah, and Bernadeschi's going to have to carry that load. But also defensively, they don't look much better. They get ripped open in the midfield. I give Michael Bradley a lot of respect for the career he's had. But the guy, I'm faster than Michael Bradley right now. Jared, I'm probably faster than him.
How does Toronto give up 2 goals in stoppage time, though? 2 goals in stoppage time.
Yeah, and they just let DC walk the ball in, too. And look, is this the best name in Major League? What's the best name in Major League Soccer right now, Jared? What's the best name?
Digital Takawira.
He's not in Major League Soccer anymore. You cannot pick Digital Takawira.
Pooge the Splooge.
Tokyo Sexwale is not in Major League Soccer. You can't pick Tokyo Sexwale. Ted Ku Di Pietro. Is that the best name in Major League Soccer?
That's an interesting one.
His name is Ted.
I've never seen what I assume is Ku Chinese or African, and then Di Pietro is Italian. Like there's some. It's like you're mixing continental and I don't know.
Wait, hold on. I don't understand what road we're going down here. This is just who he is. His name is Theodore Ku Di Pietro. That's who he is. And apparently Wayne Rooney just calls him Ku. Which
he's got
feel
Cootie in his name.
I feel like the Di Pietro part, like that's getting disrespected a little bit.
Cootie.
All right. So he steps up, he gets the assist on the Benteke equalizer, and then scores the winner himself. So the kids in DC are getting. Getting
you have to be happy if you're DC, because the two of the names you brought in, Benteke and Klitsch, both produce game one. Klitsch, it's a nice strike from distance.
The Klitsch goal is the one that makes Toronto's midfield look like a disaster. Just, again, and I think Matt Doyle had a breakdown of this on one of his columns where the ball is getting moved out of the back by DC. Actually, there's a bad pass by Mark Anthony Kaye, who's not the Mark Anthony Kaye that helped LAFC to a record number of points in 2019. And then he tries to repress to get the ball, gets just absolutely obliterated on the sideline, run right by, gives up. The ball gets sprayed to the middle of the field where there's a massive amount of space because Michael Bradley and look, the other midfielders for Toronto aren't covering that ground, and it allows Klitsch to run and take a shot from 25 with a bullet.
You got Mark Anthony Kaye and Michael Bradley. That should work. On paper, that should work. But when you see it in person,
that midfield,
when you see it in person, it doesn't feel like, at least I don't think there's any coincidence that Michael Bradley, on the legs that he has left and the age that he is, that those goals are getting given up in the 90th and 98th minute. But also, if this is it, this could be what you may see as the identity of a Wayne Rooney team. How many times do you see Wayne Rooney never give up, fight to the last minute, make results out of the last minutes of games, both in Fergie time at Manchester United or chasing down a ball at DC United for an assist all the way across the field. He has a fighter's mentality, and if DC can tap into that and Wayne Rooney can instill that in them, they'll be in games.
Okay, so let's do this. There's lots of games. I think there are some other topics we want to get to. So we've talked about a couple games already, but I'm going to go down the list and give me one thought. Nothing, let's not draw it out too much, but give me one thought maybe on each team for these games, because we had no draws, Jared. All winners.
No,
and
LA
losers.
drew.
Okay, sure. You want to say it that way. Nashville NYCFC. I mentioned the Mukhtar assist. NYCFC.
This was chalk for me.
toothless.
This was chalk for me. I thought Nashville was going to be a good team defensively coming in. Did some questions around Romney moving, but I think NYCFC is on the downslope from that championship year 2 seasons ago.
So, just real quick, they've brought Santiago Rodriguez back. That's a complete deal now. So Santiago Rodriguez, Gabby Pereira, got to figure out your center forward position because Talis Magno's not a center forward. Obviously, losing Collins is a big deal at the back. The news today is that James Sands' loan is being ended early at Rangers, so he comes back. He can play center back. He can also play in the midfield.
I think this result is more about what Nashville is versus NYCFC not being able to perform. I think Nashville's this team. I think they are this team. I think they're going to be okay.
Still questions about goal scoring if Mukhtar doesn't get 20 this year, but we'll see. Atlanta 2, San Jose 1. We've talked about this a little bit. It's all Almada.
If you need emergency attacking against San Jose, I don't know. None of us rated San Jose beginning of the season. Maybe they're better than we give them credit, or maybe Atlanta's still struggling to figure out who their identity is. And
I think
Joseph
Atlanta
Martinez
Atlanta is like a kit car with a bunch of parts that don't fit. It's like all over the place. You can't figure out how to put it together correctly. I like to see Obobisi score. I want him to have a big year. But Almada is a next level talent. We'll see if he can keep it up. We talked Charlotte versus New England. Obviously, that's a
New England better than I thought they'd be, to be honest with you. So it's Bruce Arena. What are you going to do? He's always going to be there.
FC Cincinnati 2 over Houston 1. Houston better than
more.
A lot of people thought.
I'll be honest with you. I thought it'd be more. I thought that they would be over them a little bit more than this. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Houston get the first goal in that game, Nick? No,
they did.
Cincinnati did?
No. Cincinnati did, and they equalized just before halftime from Tate Schmidt.
We'll see. I mean, if this is the result, you would expect a result where Cincinnati wins. I didn't expect it to be close.
Brenner didn't start this game. I didn't look and see why. I'm guessing it's just because he threw a tantrum in preseason. Maybe he had a knock.
He just got back.
Okay.
He was in Brazil for 2 weeks.
He was like, I don't really want to be here. I want to be in Europe, but I'll come back and play soccer. I'm not Emmanuel Reynoso. Let's do this. So you get a goal from Sergio Santos, who starts in his place. Decent player in MLS. Okay, fine. And your number 6 scores a goal. You're not going to count on that every week, but I give Cincinnati credit for fighting through it because Houston really did sort of dominate the ball. They had 7 corners to 0 for Cincinnati. They were putting pressure. Ache looks engaged, Jared. Do you really think Ache is going to bring it this year for Houston?
Someone has to. I mean, I don't know. When you look up and down that lineup, is there anything in that lineup that looks sexy to you? Herrera's on one leg,
Well,
or at least one
that's
lung.
what I'm saying. He played really well. Do you think he can
His
hold
first
up
game of the
over
season?
course of the year?
I don't think Herrera can give you. I would say if Herrera plays 75% of the games this year, that's a win for Houston. I think that's likely. I don't think he can.
We
play
don't
more than
talk
that.
about the fact that Houston has a player named Teenage, by the way, just because nobody cares about Houston because they're not relevant right now.
You're
They have
ready
a
to
player.
give Cootie the best name in the league. We got a dude named Teenage out here.
Teenage Hadebi in Houston. Let's see, where am I? DC, Toronto. We talked about that game a little bit already. Miami, Montreal. No surprise, Montreal kind of stunk it up on day one with the new coach and everything, losing all those players.
I was kind of high on Montreal. I didn't think they'd backslide as much as you guys thought they would, but I did have Miami having a decent season in my predictions. I guess I was kind of expecting a little bit more for this. I thought it'd be kind of close, 2-0. But I think one of the questions for Montreal was who's going to score this season. And it didn't get answered in week one. I mean,
I do think it's interesting. It doesn't mean anything. It's so early. Pizarro in the starting lineup for Miami. We'll see if he can really work his way back into this team. Joseph Martinez. I don't think he's 100%. Joseph Martinez, and I don't know if he ever will be, but let's see what he can do. Leo Campana did miss this game, and he's going to be out for a while with some injury. I didn't catch the word on what specific injury that was, but he's got an injury, so he's going to miss some time. They get a goal from a center back in Christophe on his debut, and they get a goal from Bourgelan, the Haitian player who they just signed. So there's not where you expect the Miami goals to come from, and, kind of wondering if that's something they can maintain
no
over
starting
the course of a
striker
season.
scored a goal in this game on either side. I think in two teams you're wondering, for Miami, you're wondering, can Joseph Martinez pull the weight of Higuain? And also then who's going to be the stand-up guy in the offense for Montreal? None of those things got answered. These are two teams with a lot of questions.
Okay, I'm moving us quickly through this big MLS schedule. Orlando 1, New York Red Bulls 0, Facundo Torres from the spot, and Orlando has signed him to a new contract that has apparently, according to Fabrizio Romano, a $30 million release clause. $30 million, Jim, for an MLS player.
I'm glad. I think it's time that we start having those kind of things built in. If you're going to be MLS is getting the reputation for a league that produces players that can play at the European level, you should start trying to line up your talent to get maximum value. That means Bet puts him as more than Miguel Maron. I don't know if that's where he should be. I wouldn't put him at that. He's not an MVP.
But this is the thing about release clauses. They're not usually a thing anybody's going to come in and actually pay. They're just a way to sort of ward off an interest in the meantime and kind of give you a negotiating starting point. Because if there's a $30 million release clause, which again maybe there actually isn't one, this is just what Orlando City says his value is for someone to come get him right now because they want to keep him for a little while, right? But if somebody offers $30 million, you're definitely sending Facundo Torres off to go do other things. Like, yes, please give us that
Only
money.
good things that happen if you give Oscar Pereira weapons, and that's what they've done here. They've locked in a good.
They have.
for
They've
him.
given him weapons. So we'll see if he can get the most out of them. Because again, I don't think a PK in the 56th
But Oscar
minute.
Pereira has a history of getting the best out of small amounts of weapons.
The other side of this is the Red Bulls not scoring, which is a problem for them last year. They were good on the road last year. Opening day,
I have
Tom
Red
Barlow
Bulls,
starts.
I think fourth or
They don't-
something in the East. So I'm
they don't have-
betting
they
on them
didn't-
being better than this.
They didn't have their big striker signing Van Zier. He's working through the immigration process, so that's still happening. Philadelphia Union, Columbus
This is the chalk
Crew.
of the chalk of the chalk. Like this all day long, this is the result that you would expect from this Philly team, and also the result you probably expect from the Columbus, unless you are from Columbus. I think the rest of the league is wondering what Columbus is. For Philly, though, everything's working. The only thing surprising is that they didn't get a shutout.
I'm gonna play it again. Where is it? There it is.
It was there. Oh, here we go, saucing them up. Hit him, wet.
Joaquin Torres. Now, a couple things about this game. Well, the main thing is, did you see what happened in the build-up to this game with Jim Curtin and the quote and all that stuff?
I did not
know.
know.
Okay, so there was a quote in a piece at The Athletic, which was an anonymous survey of 20 MLS executives, GMs probably, right? And they were asked, who do you think is going to win the league and some other stuff. And one executive said, I'm going to pick Philadelphia, which I hate because they're not even great. They don't play good soccer. They're actually kind of terrible, but they play really hard, and I guess that's good coaching, but they kind of suck. I'm paraphrasing
Guessing
the
that
quote.
was Cincinnati's GM and Albright.
I don't. It's you could probably.
It's probably
reckon
Chris
it out.
Klein, the dang holier than thou bastard.
Oh, I don't think it was Chris Klein. So after the game, Jim Curtin says, "Yeah, we saw this. I talked about it in our film session
you
ahead of the
should.
match. Like I talked
As you
about
should.
this.
Fire your
And
boys up.
I was trying to figure out who it might be. Like,
You
was
know,
it
I wonder
good-
if any of those GMs have a midfielder that pulled the move that Joaquin Torres did that game.
Well, how about the moves that Jose Martinez puts in every week? Because that guy is
Here's my challenge
brutal.
to the Philly faithful, the Sons of Ben. I want to see a tifo with Torres as a zombie, and it says "Walking Torres," like The Walking Dead, and it's
Not
a
bad.
Walking Torres.
Not bad. Not bad. Okay, Austin 2, St. Louis 3. We already talked about that game. I'm going to skip
Surprise.
it. Dallas, Minnesota. Again, the big story there is no Reynoso. Dallas played okay, but they didn't find goals. And you wonder now, Ferreira had this incredible year last year as a false nine.
But he fell off on the back end.
He did. And, they went out and they didn't really make big changes. They sold or they let go of Franco Jara because that wasn't working. They brought in the guy from Toronto who never scored any goals. Jose Jesus Jimenez. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. Vancouver 2, Salt Lake 2. Vancouver 1, Salt Lake 2. Just another just a slugfest. Just another Real Salt Lake. Just wear you down and bury you with effort. Like
Finally
nobody
get
plays
the 2
hard.
goals in the 70th and 73rd minute. One from Jocelyn Glad, one from Kylak. I think the RSL season is going to be most of the time. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be a low-scoring affair normally. I don't think they're going to give up a lot of goals. I don't think they're going to score a lot of goals. I think there's going to be a lot of one-goal victories and draws in RSL's future this year. And for Vancouver, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know who they are. I
Nobody
don't know.
does.
I don't feel like they
Nobody
have
knows who
the
they are.
identity.
Seattle 4, Colorado 0. I mean, chalk. No one expected anything different in terms
Chalk
of
for
the
you and
result.
I. Nikki Soup and Salad wasn't buying Seattle stock last week. When
I don't
we did
think
our
that meant he was
predictions.
thinking Colorado was going to go to Seattle and beat them. I think, just not over the course of the
And
season.
this
but
is
what
without
we
Rui
saw,
Diaz. This is without
what we
Rui
saw
Diaz.
was a damn good soccer team who looked like a damn good soccer team. I mean, I understand that there's a lack of enthusiasm for Jordan Morris among a certain set of American soccer fans. Look, he's not a national team player for me either. But man, if you can't enjoy
MLS
that
player.
guy goes
But
out
you
and
know what?
wrecks
Neither was
MLS.
Wondolowski. Neither was Chris Wondolowski. Hell of an
Yeah.
MLS player, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think they showed.
I think the story here for Seattle is a healthy João Paulo makes this a very good team. That's a big piece that they missed down the stretch last season. And so if he stays healthy, if Nicola Darrow stays healthy, the spine of this team is really good. So I shouldn't say that because I still think they have a little bit of questions at the center back position. But in the midfield, they have a very good midfield.
with Jamar and who else is there? Why am I blanking?
Was it Ragan played this? Was it?
Reagan, yeah, Reagan played. Reagan had a good game. He's a kid, but he had a good
Yeah,
game.
but do you think he's? You wouldn't rate him
over
as a
34
top tier
games?
defender that Seattle would normally have.
I don't know, but I wouldn't bet against Seattle. And look, Nuhu can slide into the middle. They played 3 at the back before. I know they're trying to play 4 at the back with Nuhu as a fullback again, which might not work. But
Well,
we'll see.
fullbacks are strong in Roldan and Nuhu, but it's the center back. That's where I'm worried
Nuhu's
about.
Nuhu is not a player that gives you a lot going forward. Right? He's a very good defender, but he's not a modern fullback who gives you something in the attack. So then you lose a lot on that side of the field, and the other team can focus on the other side with Alex Roldan. Of course, that didn't matter in this game, but I'm just pointing that out for a longer term conversation. So does Nuhu move to the middle? And then you go out and find another left back, or do you play 3 at the back to
It's
make
hard.
Nuhu?
He's one of the best left backs in the league, man. To move his position, is tough.
He's a very good left center back in a 3-man back line. That's what he is. Beyond that, I think it's a question. Last game was Portland 1, Kansas City 0. Kansas City probably a little unlucky. Mosquera scores in the 6th minute. It goes through Pulscamp's legs. I don't think you should give up that goal if you're Pulscamp. And then Kansas City just can't find the net. They just can't do it. And no Polito, and they still don't have Gadi Kinda back either, who they missed all last year. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, are they ever going to have Polito? Are they ever going to have Polito?
It's a good question.
You always feel
like-
that they are
it's like
a
when you-
Polito
when you-
away from being relevant.
When you go to the barbecue restaurant, and every single time they're like, we're out of the ribs. Sorry, man. Like
you
you showed up just a little bit too late. You missed
flash
it out.
back
No
to
ribs.
how dominant he was in the Mexican League, and how he came here. It was a coup that Kansas City got him from there. One of the first big Mexican players before Pizarro, like before some of these other Mexican names were coming to MLS, Alan Pulido said yes. And that was a big, big deal.
Yeah, that was the wave of Zel Rayon, who was playing in Mexico. Obviously, Argentine player, but was playing in Mexico. I think Reynoso was right after that at some point. That was
I think
the
it was
wave.
before Chicharito came back as well. Obviously, not from the Mexican League, but
might have been. I don't know. By the way, Alan Pulido, good hair or bad hair? How do you feel about
I
Alan
haven't seen
Pulido's
his hair in forever.
Well, I know. Go take a picture. Go look at a picture. Tell me what you think.
I don't know.
I don't know if he's still wearing it that
Modern
way.
hairstyle is.
But I think he's been
Hold on, let me
committed to this
search
kind of.
Alan Pulido.
It's a little bit. He's kind of worn it as
It's like a
swoops.
faux hawk? Oh no, a
He's
swoop.
more
Okay,
like
I
a
see that.
swooping
Oh, is it the
thing.
blonde swoop?
I don't know if it's blonde anymore.
Okay,
Maybe
I
he's gone
see
away
one
from the
here. It's
blonde.
like got a blonde swoop. It's very Zach Morris meets Flock of Seagulls.
Sure. Sure. What do you think? Good hair, bad hair.
Listen, okay, I'll say this. If you're going to have that hair, you need to score goals. That's a good
Yeah.
hairstyle for
Yeah.
a man who scores goals. For a man
Yeah.
who doesn't score goals,
By the way,
that's a choice.
if you need somebody to decide whether a player is allowed to have a certain hairstyle, Jerry Dubois is your man. He'll tell you, he doesn't score enough goals to have that hairstyle.
No.
You got to change it. Go back to boring. Just get it buzzed off, dude, because you're not good enough for that.
Is Jordan
You have
Morris
to
good enough to have bleached hair?
live up. You live up to your hairstyle. Right now, 2 goals on opening day? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. All right, so that's a lot of MLS. I hope we still have enough time because I think we have to talk about Gio Reyna. Don't we have to talk about Gio Reyna? Don't we kind of have to talk about Gio
You
Reyna?
do, but I don't think we should be, to be honest with you. I'm of the camp of there's nothing wrong here. Dortmund. Okay, for people that don't know, there's the talking point of why is Gino not seeing minutes? He's last 3 times he's come into games late. No, 3 of the last 4 games where he's come in as a sub. He scored. Why is he not seeing game time? Why is he on the bench? And the simple answer is this team is good. The
Yeah,
Dortmund
they're
starting
winning.
11 is good.
9 wins in a row.
And if you
Nine
were
of
getting,
them.
if you had 9 wins in a row, are you changing anything? No. And the guy that he'd be replacing, Julian Brandt, I've never been a fan of, but he's been hot the last few weeks. He's on a tear right now. And here's the other thing.
Did Marco Royce just come back again for like the billionth time? But didn't Marco Royce just come back?
And here's the other thing. Well, why isn't he seeing sub minutes? Why isn't he at least getting off the bench? Because they're in winning positions. Now, this is not Gio Reyna with the U.S. men's national team where he's one of the 4 guys that can hold the ball and you want to kill a game out. Dortmund is full of those guys. Dortmund is full of guys that are the ball holders for their country. They don't need Gio Reyna. If they're chasing a game, Gio Reyna's going to see the field. But if you're protecting a lead, you have other options.
He's not a guy who defends a lot from the front.
No,
so-
but even when we were talking about the U.S. national team at the World Cup,
but
why
that's-
wasn't he seeing games when we had leads as well? Because you can hold the ball, you can distribute. They don't necessarily need that at Dortmund. Every guy can do that. So
Yeah,
what
for
does
sure.
Gio Reyna bring to the game? He brings possession, movement, and a scoring threat. And if you're leading a game with 10 minutes to go, 20 minutes to go, you don't need that. So there's nothing wrong in Dortmund other than the fact that he's playing for a team that has better options, or if not better, at least combinations are leading. The other combinations are leading to victories. So there's nothing wrong other than the fact that maybe he should change clubs if he wants to see time.
Well, he's 20 years old. He has never been
That's
consistently
not
healthy.
18 anymore, dude. Like he should be playing somewhere.
I know that. Okay. I don't think there's any reason to overreact in this half of the Bundesliga season with Dortmund on a 9-game winning streak and chasing down Bayern Munich. I don't think you should panic. In other words, yes, I would prefer if Gio was playing a lot of minutes.
Agreed.
But I also don't know that he's going to be ruined right now if he doesn't play, because it kind of keeps him from getting his body being too stressed and potentially another injury happening. I know you can't be scared of being hurt or you'll never play. You'll certainly never go full out. But he's scored some goals. He's had some moments. I think you can tend to take that and think of that as that's a building block. And look, if Dortmund needs something because they lose 2 or 3 games,
Yep.
okay. Now I see this from KY. Okay, Heath Pierce alluded there being something to it.
I don't
This
think
is
that's what he
after.
said.
Hold on. Derek Ray said something on Twitter, and apparently Heath had said something on In Soccer We Trust, and Heath was clarifying that what he meant was that the report that's going to come out on the Berhalter Gio Reyna affair is probably going to include something about Gio's behavior, right? The report's going to include reports about what happened in Qatar. And that might not make Gio look good because we know he threw a tantrum. Like,
That's
we knew,
old shit, though.
Yeah, no, I know. And I'm not worried about that. And I'm not worried about it at Dortmund. And Derek Ray was like, there's no reports of problems at Dortmund. Yeah. I think Gio at Dortmund is a different player, mentality-wise, than he is with the U.S. men's national team. That's a problem for the U.S. men. Right? That's a problem that they have to deal with, whoever the next coach is. It's a problem that Anthony Hudson has to deal with if he calls Gio up in March, which I still think is a good idea. I still think you need to do that to get past everything.
I agree. I think Gio sees that camp. I think as a player not getting minutes with his club team, he needs to be able to showcase. He needs to get some minutes. And I'll say this, Dortmund's a team that sells high. They're a selling team. And if Gio Reyna has value and they're not getting the most out of him, Dortmund is shrewd when it comes with transferring people. I don't think he sees Dortmund next year. I think he's someplace else next year because it looks like he's superfluous to their needs and he has value. They sell players. They're probably going to sell Bellingham as too.
They're not going to sell. They're going to sell Gio low though. Not at this point. They're going to hold on to him for another year and then see what he looks like next summer.
And lose value?
No, okay. Again, they're chasing down Bayern. They have a shot at a title for the first time in 12 years, 15 years. So they don't have any reason to change things right now. So that's a circumstantial thing for why Gio's not getting on the field. But Gio's still a talent that they care about. It's still a talent that they believe in. And yes, if he's simply not playing at all, or if he's not making the bench, if he's not getting a couple minutes in a substitute appearance down the rest of the season, then maybe the alarm bell should go off. And I don't know, but maybe you wait until next year. I mean, if Terzic wins the title, he's coming back next year. Dortmund's not making a change again. So he'll have a chance to impress him during preseason. They'll be buzzing off the title or buzzing off a second place maybe, and they'll be able to see
maybe
what
they
Gio's
sell off
got.
Uli and Brandt and the spots there.
Other guys could be sold, right? And they're also going to go out and get other people, so there's that. But other guys could be sold. Now, let's talk about another important American attacker who's not playing right now, and that's Christian Pulisic. Now, part of that is injury because he has been injured, but he's training again. There's the actual news, like he could be leading the exodus. I don't know why the papers always say that. He could be leading the exodus from Chelsea this summer, Jared, because they have the bloated squad.
Oh, they have so much.
But I think the bigger news is that beard. He's brought back the beard. He's looking a little.
He's ready to be the foil.
Like he's the guy in Die Hard who tries to sweet talk Hans and gets shot. Like that's what that look is, right? Am I wrong about this?
You're not saying that's his character, you're saying that's the beard.
I'm saying the beard makes him look like that guy. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got you then. Okay.
Somebody knows that
I
guy's
can get
name.
with that.
Somebody knows that guy's name.
It's not Klaus. Never mind, that's not it. Never mind. That's what he calls him or something. That's the other guy.
Hans Bubala. Hans.
But doesn't he call him? Oh, I thought he called him Klaus as well as a derogatory term. But maybe
I'm gonna. His name is Ellis. His name is Ellis in the movie. Ellis.
Okay,
and he's
so
like,
listen,
he's the 80s guy. Ellis. Hey.
Pulisic's got his big boy beard on, and I can appreciate that. He's coming back. Maybe it was his playoff beard. It was his injury beard, and maybe he shaves it when his first time he gets a minute.
Right.
But Chelsea. Here's the advantageous thing about what Pulisic has going for him.
Yes.
Everything at Chelsea is shit. Everything at Chelsea is shit.
I saw somebody describe Chelsea.
He has the ability. Go ahead.
Real quick, because it's Todd Bowley, and I saw somebody describe Chelsea as something that was working pretty well, and then they came in and they broke it. Like basically, they broke Chelsea. Bowley broke Chelsea. I don't even blame Potter. It's not Potter's fault. This thing
I don't
is a
blame
disaster.
Potter either.
And it wasn't Tuchel's fault, even though he won a Champions League with that. Like
but here's
everything
the thing.
after that.
Things are so bad at Chelsea. They can remember that when Pulisic got hurt, he had scored recently. He was playing fairly well. And now it's like, maybe this guy can help us. Like, that's how bad things are at Chelsea, that they think maybe Pulisic can help.
I mean, that's kind of mean to Pulisic. He has been very good for them at times. But
I'm just saying, I'm not sure anything can help Chelsea. That's what I'm saying.
That's a good point. I mean,
maybe, the one thing that could help Chelsea, and Pulisic could ride this clout, is that Conte's training again as well. Now, Conte is the type of player that could actually change what is happening at Chelsea a bit.
If Conte is old Conte.
If he's Conte,
I'm not sure he's old Conte. I'm not sure he's the real Conte. Please stand up. And Raheem Sterling could be leaving this summer. There's certainly that on
But I
the
think
table.
Pulisic sees minutes, which is surprising with the amount of people they brought in. I think Pulisic sees minutes once he's healthy.
Well, I mean, what are they playing for now? Like, you might as well give the guy some time. What are they playing for at this point?
You know what? You should let him play because they could up the value of Real Madrid's offer.
I mean,
Or lower it.
Man. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So what else is on? I mean, obviously, we're sitting here waiting for Anthony Hudson to make some very important choices about the the Nations League roster for Grenada and El Salvador, Jared.
We had 5 Americans on the field at once in an FA Cup game.
We did. That's right. We had Fulham and Leeds United yesterday in the FA Cup 5th round.
And the first chance to see McKennie in what should probably be his natural position with Leeds, with Mark Rocca making back into the starting lineup with Tyler Adams.
Yeah, but I don't know that I don't know that midfield works. There's no dynamism in that midfield.
I thought McKennie worked in it. I thought McKennie looked good in that game.
He played really good? Okay.
I thought he played well in that game. I think there's one thing that's holding McKennie back from truly winning over the Leeds fans: the final pass in the final third. He has messed that up a few times now.
He had a big one
other
yesterday.
than that, his distribution is good. His ball must be good. His vision's been good. His defensive work has been good. But if you're going to play that position ahead of those 2 bucket midfielders, you have to be able to make the final pass. Yeah. Because guess what? You have to put it on a platter for Bamford. You have to put it on a platter for Reuter. They are not scoring. You don't have Rodrigo out there. For one of those 2 players, you're going to have to literally give them a tap in. And if you can't put it on that table, McKennie's going to be judged by that. But I do think that position is working for him. And if they can get Rodrigo back hopefully soon, maybe McKennie can write that.
Rodrigo's the key to everything.
They're safe by a point right now.
Yeah, I know the win over Southampton. But Rodrigo's the key to everything. If he doesn't come back and he doesn't score goals, they are cooked. They are dusted. And
even teams are starting to figure out Nanto now. They're starting to figure out Nanto. The double team him on the wing. They're not letting him get to the byline.
I was thinking about when I was watching that game yesterday. I first of all, somehow I've been sucked in. Somehow Leeds grabbed me. I let myself be. I let myself be entranced by Leeds United. I did that. I mean, Jesse for a while, obviously. But I mean, what I mean is,
I had the Obama fields all over again.
There were 2 Americans on the other side. Fulham has a deep history with American players, and yet I was finding myself rooting for Leeds United, and I was like, no, this is terrible. I don't want this. This is the worst that possible
because
existence.
Here's the thing. If it was a Premier League game, I'm rooting for Tim Ream. Well, maybe not, because I want Leeds to stay up out of relegation. But this is all Leeds has. This FA Cup. I wanted them to move on.
Look, if Fulham's not having the season they're having, maybe I feel different
Fulham's
about that
on the edge
right?
of Champions League.
Yeah, and Tim Ream, by the way, player of the match for Fulham fans, incredible season, getting just I felt almost embarrassed by how much slobber was coming from that an analyst for Tim Ream yesterday. Like he was
it wrong?
In love with.
Was it wrong?
No,
the
it was
dude
just
is.
It's like watching 2 people make out in front of
season.
you. It's like, oh, dude, should I be here? Like, should I leave?
Tim Ream is one of the top center backs in the Premier League at 35 years old, and he just looks he's at that point right now. I've been watching a lot of highlights of him over the last few weeks. It's something you see with players sometimes where it looks like the game is slowing down for him.
Yes.
He's able to take touches in small spaces that are just calm, but poised. And not just that, the guy is fantastic off the ball and positioning. He is really good at positioning himself off the ball to intercept, play behind the keeper for clearances, knowing where having that nose of where the ball is going to be is what strikers have when we call that fox in the box. The defenders, there needs to be a word for that in the defenders. What is the defenders version of that?
Remember what? Yeah, that's a good one. It can't be fox in the box. It's got to be something else.
No, it has to be something else, man.
It's
tank in the bank.
Goal. Something in the goal. Something in the
soul in the goal.
Soul in the goal.
Nah, that sounds like Soul Glow.
Yeah. The thing about Tim Ream. Remember when every time Tim Ream played a pass out of the back to a fullback ahead of him, you were like panicking that was going to be intercepted and come back down his throat, and that they were going to score. And he made those mistakes, not regularly, but enough that it became his reputation, particularly with the U.S. men's national team. Like, oh, this is what Tim Ream does. This is what Tim Ream does. Tim Ream gives the ball away in dangerous places at least one time a match, and we all panic and freak out, and we can never trust him. I never felt that watching that game yesterday. I haven't felt that watching
it's
Tim
amazing
Ream.
that if we go back to the beginning of qualifying in those first games that Tim Ream saw minutes in at left back, to be fair, at left back, it was like his future of the national team's done. It just, the speed wasn't there. But also, like, he shouldn't be playing left midfield. Left fullback, excuse me. He's a left center back. And at that position, he still has gas in the tank. It is very, very interesting to see
Maybe
what he's
this
doing.
is the key. Maybe what Utch Unit is saying is the key. That he does make that mistake, but what he's good at now is snuffing it out before it becomes a problem. He ends up forcing the player to the sideline and pushes it out for a throw. Yeah, maybe that's maybe part of it.
I think not since I think arguably you could say Clint Dempsey form with Fulham was that 8 years ago is probably the closest we can ever talk to about a player having a better season. But even then, you got to remember, Clint Dempsey was often still fighting for a starting spot in those Fulham games.
He was. Yeah.
You know, that goal in the semifinal of the Europa League, he didn't start the final.
No.
You know, like there's he was very good for Fulham in those seasons, but I don't know that he was ever as consistent.
Wait, are you putting?
He's the captain of the team, for God's sakes.
I think you're probably right, but I'm just thinking about the history. Are you saying that Tim Ream is on the verge of having the best season ever for an American in the Premier League? Outside of goalkeeper.
I think there's years with Friedel and Howard that you could put higher than that.
Yep.
And even
By the way,
Keller back in the Leicester days.
So we have Mole in the goal. It's not bad. Yep. You put that up. Morgan's got Moose in the caboose, which I don't think makes a lot of sense.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Actually, Moose works, center backs, big guys. Caboose at the back? Sure,
it's at
okay.
the back.
Now I get it. Now, okay.
He's the Moose
That's
in
what
the
it
caboose.
is. Moose in the caboose.
Well done, mate. Morgan. Way to contribute.
Feels uncomfortable, but I see where it's going.
Someone hire that girl.
So McKennie playing ahead of a double pivot or something functionally like a double pivot. Tyler Adams he kind of embodies Leeds. Okay, he kind of embodies Leeds. I love the kid, and I'm so glad he's a national teamer for us. And I love his attitude and his leadership, and I do think he's next level when it comes to the defensive work that he does. But he is not a very good passer. I mean, he's certainly not an elite passer at that position.
I still think he's third best player for Leeds this season behind Nanto and Meslier. I still think
probably
he is,
fair. I mean, Rodrigo's in that mix too.
Yeah, it's just so inconsistent and out for injury for certain periods of time. I still think Tyler Adams has been a better player, more consistent player for Leeds this season. But it is on display that both in he, Rocca, and maybe even McKennie, there's not one pure, beautiful passer among them.
But that's why I'm saying I'm not sure it worked. You said McKennie looked good, and he got forward. He got into dangerous places. But again, he's got. I'm vividly remembering that opportunity where he's at the top of the 18-yard box, out towards the elbow. He gets a chance to kind of take a shot and decides because getting a run off his shoulder, he makes the pass. Was it Nanto? And he puts it 2 yards too far ahead, and it's scooped up.
Somerville.
And that's Somerville. And it's like, come on.
The thought was
man.
right. The thought was right.
No,
the lane was right.
The weight of the pass. The weight of the pass. That separates a pretty good player from a great player, or from a next level, from a player who can make a difference.
And also, like they're starting to figure him out in the air. He had the shot on goal that was the rebound that Ruder put in that was called back for being a push, some phantom push on McKennie.
He kind of did. Yeah, he looked like he pushed, but he kind of didn't push. But he also kind of, yeah. Right. Yeah. I think Leeds was unlucky, but this is what I was going to say. This is why I'm mad about being sucked in.
Unlucky is a thing for them.
Leeds is the most frustrating team I've ever watched, where I kind of care but don't. They pull me in because it's like, oh, here it is. They're good. They're good. Oh no! And now you don't even trust that. How many scrambles did they have at the end of that match with a chance to the last 25 minutes to try to score a goal?
One of them resulted in McKennie on the ground with his head in his hands. You know,
I mean, you're talking about Ream being in the right place at the right time behind his goalkeeper after a step out to block shots off the line, and yes, that's great. But Leeds should have scored. They should have scored. They should have scored. They should have scored. This is who they are. They should score. They should
balls
score.
Off the line.
Should score. I mean, it's so maddening. They are 9/10 of a decent soccer team. They are 99/100 of a decent
has
soccer
a full
team.
volley and puts it wide. There's a lot of opportunities like that with them. They're very much the Mets of the Premier League.
Is that what they are? The Mets?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. I guess. I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. Yeah, I guess that's what they are.
Problem is the Mets can never get put down to another division, so it's a hard comparison.
It's
They're
like
allowed to be
one of those,
professionally bad.
It's like one of those things that's intentionally meant to annoy you. Like when you watch a video and you see the person drawing stuff and they draw a circle that stops before it gets
like when
complete.
someone eats a Kit Kat from the side.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like things that feel wrong. That's Leeds United. They continually do things where it's like, no, why are you, no. All right, what else? Anything else?
That's all I got, buddy.
That's
There's
all you got?
Listen, we're pretty far in right now, but there's a few other things out there. But I mean, we could talk about salaries of the national team coaches.
Oh, I don't care about that.
We can talk about the fact that LA is soft. That's why they got their game canceled. We were talking about this pre-show. We held it, so let's do this.
Oh, you want to do that? Okay.
The LA guy has a un-LA take, and that's.
But are you really an LA guy though? Like I kind of feel
that's
like you're
my local team.
No, I understand that, but I kind of feel like you get to sort of stand outside of like Los Angeles and judge them. Like I'm not from LA. I'm from the Inland Empire.
Oh, I'm worse.
Like,
the Inland Empire is no way better than LA. It's the armpit of Southern California. Okay. It's where the planes come to die.
Right.
It's
New Jersey.
It's kind of Jersey-ish. I'm not gonna lie. We're probably the Jersey of LA. Now I feel terrible.
So okay, let's go back to the original question because it's about why that game was postponed. And we had some besties jump in, and Allison's a SoCal girl. She knows the area. She said it's dangerous. Parking's on a golf course. If there's any lightning in the area, there's nowhere to put people. It's a bowl. There's no roof. You can't. There's no shelter, right? If there's weather that's bad enough, you put people's lives at risk. And Jared was like, nah, it's just because they're soft.
I've been in the Rose Bowl when it's been 105 degrees with no shelter as well. And no one had a problem canceling that game.
That's a good point.
You know, I was there for the 99 Women's World Cup. It sucked. It sucked. But here's the thing. I think that they realized that people weren't going to show. So that's why they canceled it. Because
what
they were going to play in.
Major League Soccer canceled the game because of a bad look. That's what you're telling me.
Oh yeah, this game has been. This was the key touch. It's a keystone game. I realized that there was 2 other games that had 65,000 people this weekend, but neither one of them was El Tráfico. El Tráfico could have been closer to 75. You know, it really could. And also, let's not forget, there was going to be a bad look Galaxy section in that stadium too, where Chris Klein was not going to have a good day that day. There is a few different things going on, but I think the main thing was they realized people weren't going to put butts in seats. They're going to take a hit from concessions and all this different stuff, and their marquee matchup, the way it was going to look, because it was what LA was going to be asked to play in. Is that any worse than what Minnesota or Chicago does in February?
I mean, it's different.
I will give Lightning if Lightning is a true thing, sure, maybe, but they postponed for Lightning for a couple hours. They don't cancel the day before because there might be lightning the next day.
It's a fair point, but again, it's 80,000 people in an open building. All right, no, I'm not. Who am I to defend Angelinos?
I'm asking you to put your fedora on and act like an Angelino.
I don't know. What does the Silver Lake crowd think of this? That's the only people I know because I listen to podcasts. They all live in Silver Lake. I have no idea about anything else.
It's funny, man. Silver Lake used to be trash, dude, and now it's like super nice. It's the Brooklyn of LA, you know, like where it's just like
that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
I'm just saying this, like if. I don't know.
I do have something to tell you. So by the way, they rescheduled that game for the 4th of July, which is a move because they're trying to guarantee the big crowd, right? If we do a fireworks display, we'll get a big crowd at the Rose Bowl.
Incredibly smart. Rose Bowl already does a fireworks display anyway.
Yeah. And you know, 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 kickoff on the West Coast. So you're not dealing with the heat it'll be warm, but it won't be blazing hot 99 Women's World Cup final hot, right? So that's a thing. I guess if you get a big crowd, it's worth it. I'm going to throw this out there before we leave. I was called on WNBC. I don't know if you knew I have a radio show, Jared. Were you aware?
Congratulations,
WNBC.
Yeah.
WNBC.
You and Cangelosi?
I got a radio show, and Taylor Drummond was actually on it the other day.
Hold on. Let me pick this up. You dropped something.
Yeah, the guy that's on our. Can we show that picture? Because that was the guy that was on my show. The
Don Knotts?
No, unfortunately, I did not get Don Knotts. I didn't dig up Don Knotts to have him on my show.
You had the Furley on there?
Taylor Twellman was on my show. But also, I get regular phone calls from Kevin Frazier, who is one of the hosts of Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
Kevin Frazier is an LAFC super fan, Jared. He's deep in it. He adores
Where was he
his
from
boys.
96 to 2020?
I think he was living other places. He used to be on Sports Center.
He was living in Cincinnati. He got his start at a local TV station in Cincy.
Why did he sell out at Cincinnati FC? Why is he not repping them?
He's actually from Maryland. He's worked all over the country. He's an LA guy now. I don't know what to tell you. All
I
I'm
get
saying,
it.
the man-
12-man and Entertainment Tonight are on your Rolodex. I get it. Go ahead.
The man has rolled out the red carpet and invited me out to Los Angeles to be in a suite watching LA.
Is Mario Lopez going to be there?
We're probably. I
You
would
gonna be
go
with
to
the
meet
Slater?
I would go meet Slater. Hell yeah, I'd make
Slater
me some
FC?
Slater. I don't know if I get the Will Ferrell treatment, but I'm going out to meet. In fact, I might be more excited for Slater than Will Ferrell. I really might be.
What's going to be awesome is when I'm your +1, I show up in a Galaxy shirt.
I think I would put myself in a position to let you do that to me. Do you think I would do that?
I'd like the stepchild you don't want to bring with you or something?
No. This is what I was going to say. Is instead of getting
Are you
all
embarrassed of me?
Instead of getting all defensive and jealous, I was going to say, why don't you use your contacts at the LA Galaxy to get me the same treatment out at Carson, StubHub, Dignity Health Sports Bank and Spa, whatever it's called now? Why can't I get that treatment out there? What's going on?
I don't know, dude. We don't care about clout chasing like LAFC does.
Right now,
we're happy not to have Bieber repping us.
Right now, you don't care about championships either.
Oh, I care about championships. I don't care about Bieber repping my team. I do not care about that at all.
Your team doesn't care about championships.
I'm not lying. Okay, here's the other thing. Here's another thing. You want to go even deeper, Alex Tremaine-Jones, on why the LA game was canceled?
Yeah.
Because that damn Chicharito wasn't going to be there. They got word that Chicharito was going to play, and that's one of their big marketing ploys is Vela and Chicharito. And the Mexican fans are not going to show up because Chicharito ain't going to be there.
I think we moved on from that. Okay, we've gone way too long. We can't even talk about Christian Pulisic wearing a signed Patrick Mahomes jersey like a mook.
Oh.
What is that about?
After repping the other team a couple years ago?
Yeah, he's from a Philly town. He's from
Pennsylvania.
He's from an Eagles town because I have a friend who's from Harrisburg.
And we have pictures of him wearing an Eagles jersey, for God's sake. How is this allowed to happen to an American? In America, is this guy just not understand American sports? Is he that English now that he can rep two different American teams?
Does it offend you more that he was wearing a Chiefs jersey, or does it offend you more that he was wearing a signed Chiefs jersey?
It offends me more that he has that beard.
Okay. And by the way, Morgan is reminding us that he's neither an Eagles fan nor a Chiefs fan. He's a Jets fan. He's on the record as a Jets fan.
So how is he wearing either of the other team's jerseys?
Because the Jets are terrible.
I'm a Galaxy fan. You're not going to see me repping like Cincinnati. I've already said I will only wear teams of other divisions.
All right, we got to go. This is going to be the longest show ever if we keep going here. All right. Any other business, Mr. Dubois? Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. I'm due for an Old Dad FC missive. I haven't dropped one in like a week and a half, and I promised I was going to be doing that. So,
get on Patreon, guys.
Yes.
Lots of good stuff going on there. It's too late for the Survivor pool now, but if you want to get updates on how half the people lost their first week and everyone's having to put more money in, Nick and Super Sal can get you on that Slack and you can follow along to everyone's dreams.
If you support the show, you get extra stuff. You get a bonus show. You get Old Dad FC content. You get pre-show audio access when we're connected early enough for there to be pre-show audio access. But you also support the show, and it's not about me and Jared. Yeah. It's really about everybody else here. It's Nick and it's Morgan, and we need your support to help us support them because they deserve it, and they're an important part of the show. So, let's just do a virtual group hug, a team moment here. Can we do that? Can I get everybody? Hey,
look at Morgan's antennae.
I love it. There we are.
See,
Yay.
I can't be Morgan and represent Houston Dynamo when I'm a Philly fan.
Oh yeah,
I also have a couple more. I have Western Conference jerseys.
But you wear it well, my dear.
There you go. All right. Shout out to Morg. Shout out to Nikki Soup and Sausage. All right, that's it. We got to get out of here. Thank you very much for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Damn, dog, that's in a props.
What are we doing?
We are at DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 1?
Danger zone!
Get to the chopper!
Oh, baby! Who asked those questions?
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Is that JTT?
OFFBG13, it's JTT!
The Sausage King of Chicago.
It was that. Oh, here we go, saucing them up. hit him, what?
WNBC. WNBC.
Michael freaking Arasco Fiscal.
J. Rodius.